UFC's back at the Apex for a pretty terrible card, to be honest, but it doesn't mean we can't find some good bets to make. Let's get into them. First fight of the night, we got Choi taking on Bill Algeo. So Choi is 14-4-1. That's 3-3-1 in the UFC. Algeo's 18-8. That's 5-4 in the UFC. So Choi started his UFC career hot, 3-0 with 3 knockouts. Had that dope fight with Cub Swanson. Since then, gone 0-3-1, and he hasn't won a fight since 2016. He did take a few years off. He was in the military, but still. Bill Algeo has won 3 of his last 5, but he is coming off a knockout loss back in March. Choi is 33. Algeo is 35. I'm going to take the over 1.5 here. It's minus 310. I'm going to parlay it with something. I'll get to it later. Choi, he's hit the over 1.5 in 4 of his last 5, and Algeo's only hit it in 2 of his last 5, but 4 of his last 5 made it to round 2. If you guys are looking for anything else to take, Algeo by decision, plus 135. 46% of his pro fights have gone the distance, and Choi's lone fight in the last 5 years went the distance, and 2 of his 4 career losses have gone the distance. Another good prop to take is fight end by knockout, plus 170. Choi's last 8 wins are by knockout, and his last 2 losses are by knockout. Algeo does have 4 knockout wins of his own, and he was also just knocked out in March, as I mentioned. Next fight of the night, we got Cody Durden taking on Bruno Silva. Durden, he's 16-5-1. That's 5-3-1 in the UFC. Silva's 13-5-2 and 1 no contest. Wild record. 3-2 and 1 no contest in the UFC. Durden has won 4 of his last 5. Silva has won 3 in a row, all by finish, but only fought once in the last 3 years, and it was over a year ago. They're roughly the same age. Durden 33, Silva is 34. I'm going to take the over 1.5 again here. It's minus 400. Going to parlay it with something. I'll get to it later. Durden has hit the over 1.5 in 4 of his last 5 fights, and 6 of his 9 UFC fights have hit it. Silva's hit the over 1.5 in 3 of his last 5.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
If you guys are looking for some singles to take, Durden by decision, plus 140. 4 of his 5 UFC wins are by decision, including his last 3 wins. And Silva's 2 losses in the UFC were by decision, and 3 of his 5 career losses were by decision. This one has crazy odds, dude. Silva by sub, plus 450. Only 4 of his 13 wins have come by sub, but he did just win his last fight by sub, and Durden's been subbed in his last 4 losses. I feel like there's some real value there. Someone should jump on that. And I don't love the odds on this, but the over 2.5 rounds is minus 250. If anyone wants to throw that in a parlay, Durden's hit it in 3 of his last 5, and Silva's only hit it in 2 of his last 5. So not the greatest odds. Next fight of the night, we got Holobaugh taking on Kaynan Kruschewsky. So Holobaugh is 20-8 with 1 no contest. Dude, this is his 3rd stint in the UFC. He had a fight in 2013, loses a unanimous decision, gets cut, then gets a contract on Dana White Contender Series, but then goes 0-3 in the UFC, gets cut. Then he was on the Ultimate Fighter in 2023, and since coming back from the Ultimate Fighter, he's 1-1. So he's 1-5 overall in the UFC. Not the greatest record. Kruschewsky's 15-2 with 1 no contest. He's 0-1 in the UFC. He got face plant KO'd by Elvis Brenner back in November. Pretty brutal. Holobaugh has won 3 of his last 5, and all 3 came by finish. Kruschewsky's won 4 of his last 5, and all 5 ended by finish. I'm going to take the over half around here. It's minus 375. We're going to parlay it with the first 2 over 1.5s that I mentioned. That's plus 109. Little risky because Holobaugh has 12 first round finishes and only 2 have hit the over half round. But 4 of his last 5 fights have hit it, and Kruschewsky, despite having 8 first round finishes himself, has still hit the over half round in 5 of them. So fingers crossed that gets past there. If you guys are looking for anything else to take, Kruschewsky by sub plus 385. 9 of his 15 wins have come by sub. That's 60%. And Kurt was subbed 3 losses ago, so he's been subbed recently. If you think Kurt's going to win, though, Holobaugh by finish, plus 235. 17 of his 20 wins are by finish. It's 85%. And Kruschewsky was KO'd in both of his career losses, including his last fight. But if you just want to be safe too, Holobaugh money line plus 120. He's a solid dog. And if you want to just take the over 1.5 in a parlay, it's minus 205. Holobaugh's hit it in 3 of his last 5. And Kruschewsky's only hit it in 2 of his last 5, but 9 of his 18 pro fights have hit it. Next fight of the night, we got Steve Garcia taking on Seung Choi. So Garcia is 15-5. That's 4-2 in the UFC. Choi is 11-6. That's 4-5 in the UFC. Garcia has won 4 of his last 5, and all 5 ended by knockout. Choi's lost 3 of his last 5, but is coming off a win a year ago. Garcia's 32. Choi is 31. I'm riding with Steve Garcia here, minus 130. I think he's the better fighter. He's won 3 in a row by knockout, and Choi's lost 3 of his last 4 and was just KO'd in his last loss. I just feel like Steve Garcia's got better tools to get it done. If you guys are, I'm going to parlay that, by the way. If you guys are looking for anything else to take, Garcia by KO is plus 110. I just mentioned all that stuff above. And 12 of his 15 wins are by knockout, including his last 7 wins. And Choi's been KO'd twice, as I mentioned, was just KO'd in his last loss. The over 1.5 as well is plus 155. Take it or leave it. Garcia, only 7 of his 20 pro fights have hit it, but Choi, 7 of his 9 UFC fights have hit it, including 11 of his 17 pro fights. Co-main event, we got Brad Tavares taking on Jun Park, Iron Turtle. Tavares, he's 20-9. It's 15-9 in the UFC. Park is 17-6. That's 7-3 in the UFC. Tavares has lost 3 of his last 5, and 2 of those losses have come by knockout. Jun Park has won 4 of his last 5, and 3 of those wins have come by sub. Tavares is 36. Park is 33. I'm going to take the over 2.5 here. I'm parlaying it with Steve Garcia money line. It's plus 159. Tavares has hit the over 2.5 in 3 of his last 5, and 17 of his 24 UFC fights have hit it. That's 71%. Park has only hit it in 2 of his last 5, but 5 of his 10 UFC fights have hit it. If you guys are looking for anything else to take, Park by finish is plus 215. 11 of his 17 wins have come by finish, including his last 3 wins. And Tavares has been KO'd 5 times, including his last 2 losses. So maybe he could get it done there. If you think Brad Tavares is going to win, he's probably going to get it done by decision, plus 240. 13 of his 20 wins have come by decision, and 3 of Park's 6 career losses are by decision, including his last loss in December. Main event, we got Amanda Lemos taking on Virna Jandiroba. So Lemos, she's 14-3-1. That's 8-3 in the UFC. Jandiroba is 20-3. That's 6-3 in the UFC. Lemos has won 3 of her last 5, with 3 of those ending by finish. Jandiroba has won 4 of her last 5, and those last 4 have gone the distance. Lemos is 37. Virna is 36. I'm riding with Amanda Lemos here, plus 125. I just feel like she's fought better competition. Her last 6 fights were against top 15 girls, and she went 4-2 in that span. Her only 2 losses to the champ, Wang Zheli. Weili Zhang. Did I just say Wang Zheli? I said the weirdest fucking name there. You guys know who I meant. Weili Zhang and Jessica Andrade. And then Jandiroba's last 4 fights were also against top 15 girls. She went 3-1 in that span, and she lost to Amanda Hebas, who's ranked number 8. So if you want to do a little MMA math there, I feel like Amanda Lemos has the edge. Looking for anything else to take, though? If you think Jandiroba is going to get it done, she's probably going to win by sub, plus 215. Only 2 of her 6 UFC wins have come by sub, but 13 of her 20 career wins have come by sub. And Lemos has been sub before. Nice parlay piece. This is the only other play I could really find on this fight. There's not much value here. Over 2.5, minus 210. Again, parlay it with something. Lemos, only 4 of her 11 UFC fights have hit it, but she did go the distance in her last 2. And Jandiroba, 6 of her 9 UFC fights have hit it, but her last 4 have hit it. So again, riding with Amanda Lemos in the main event. Hopefully she gets it done. That's our only single of the week, plus the 2 parlays.
I'm worth 100,000 like Woodrow. When a ball, call me Wilson, going overboard at the Hilton.